Today, I wanted to discuss how Real Madrid are doing, the problems that they've got currently, and whether Xabi Alonso can weather the storm. Because from where I'm standing, it's an absolute disaster. And that sounds a little bit strange. At the end of the day, we're top of the league. We've won almost all of our games in the Champions League. We're not in a bad position per se. For me, it's the performances and it's the attitude from the players. It's the things that are coming out in the media, the comments, the little bit of insubordination which is happening, and the general demeanour of Xabi Alonso, which has definitely seen a noticeable change since the start of the campaign. So I wanted to go to those most recent performances, the one at Vallecas against Rayo Vallecano and the one at Anfield against Liverpool, because I saw the same thing twice. It was like seeing the same movie, well, twice. And the thing that I go to is that we could have played those games for 10, 15, 20 hours. We still wouldn't have scored a goal because there was no game plan. There was no discernible strategy in place. If you compare and contrast the way that we played in those games to the Club World Cup, it's night and day. It truly is. At the Club World Cup, you had Trent wide on the right, you had Fran Garcia, who'd been reborn on the left-hand side, and you had a focal point. You had Gonzalo Garcia, and you had the three at the back, Tchouaméni playing that vital role where he steps up into the midfield and he drops back deep when necessary. The team looked good. The team created chances. The team scored goals. Look at what happened at Anfield. And you've got players like Vinicius losing battles against Conor Bradley. Compare and contrast that with Jeremy Doku at the weekend for Manchester City. Is Jeremy Doku really better than Vinicius? Is that what we're saying here? Because I don't believe it for a second. So why are so many players underperforming in this team? And apparently, there's a lot of depth to this situation, a lot more than maybe we realised. So, in the most recent hours, there have been a lot of stories that are coming out of Real Madrid, and they claim that they've been confirmed, but obviously we do have to treat things with a pinch of salt, and some I do believe more than others. But there are certain players who are supposedly making life extremely difficult for Xabi Alonso. And I can believe it. I really can. Number one, no surprise, Vinicius Jr. He got substituted in the Clásico. He came back. Everyone expected Xabi Alonso to refer to it publicly, to criticise him, to get the apology. Vinicius issues that half-hearted apology. He knows exactly what he's doing. He deliberately leaves Xabi Alonso out of that message. And that was a true signal of, I've got the support of the club, you don't. I can get away with this. And Xabi Alonso, for his part, swept it under the carpet and life moved on. But it's clear that if you look at something like that, the other players will look at the situation and think, hang on a minute, who's in charge? Because he's got away with absolute murder. And I sympathise with Vinicius to a certain degree. And the degree is that he was playing well when he was substituted in the Clásico. The substitution made absolutely no sense. However, if you are told to get off the pitch, you get off the pitch. Reminds me of Kepa refusing to come off for Chelsea a few years ago, and Maurizio Sarri not knowing what to do on the sidelines. It's just insubordination. It's not a good look. It's disrespectful to your teammates, especially to the guy waiting to come on. And I know it's Rodrigo, who's about as youthful as a chocolate teapot, but still, you've got to do your part, haven't you? You are a professional. Respect your manager. Respect your club. He didn't do it. And the reports are suggesting that it's going to be one or the other, because it's no surprise that you're seeing lots of stories saying Vinicius might leave in the coming summer window. And he might. He really might. Because are Real really going to pay him a salary comparable to what Mbappe is receiving? I doubt it. In my opinion, and again, it is my opinion, you might not share it, Mbappe is streets ahead of Vinicius. So if I want to restore order to the team, if I want to bring in a centre forward, and I'm deciding who starts on the left wing, it's Mbappe, because I think he's more effective going forward. Anyway, first example of insubordination. The second, Federico Valverde. So Valverde, we saw evidence of this in his comments in the media where he says things along the lines of, I was not born to play right back. Okay, buddy, fair enough. But your manager's telling you where to play. Respect him enough to just do it. And he has been doing, because he wants to get in the team. But his performances have really dipped. And I know that he gets in a crucial tackle from now and again. But if we are truly honest, is Valverde an elite footballer? Because My personal philosophy when it comes to midfielders in the modern game is that you have to be able to do at least two of the three roles, and by that I mean that you have to be able to play the six. In other words, you have to be able to pressure, you have to be able to tackle, you also have to play the eight, which means you've got to be able to carry the ball, you've got to be able to beat that press, play a pass, etc., etc. And finally, you've got to contribute something in the way of advancing your team, whether that be the odd assist here and there, a goal here and there, and Valverde is not offering anything. Now, I know that devil's advocate, you can say that, well, the majority of his performances have been at right back. True. But even in his performances where he was in the centre and we had Carvajal at right back, or for the few odd occasions where we had Trent at fitness, he still wasn't performing, and there's not enough coming out of him. If you really want to compare the way that he's playing compared to last season, have a look at the heat map for Valverde, because it's dropped off a cliff. He's not running as much as he used to, and he's not the only one who's guilty of this. But if you're thinking about the future of this team, and people keep saying they're not controlling midfield, okay, fair enough. He hasn't played the majority of games there. But even when he did, he is not that player. He has serious limitations to his game. Think about it. Can he tackle? Yes. Can he play a pass? Occasionally. Does he contribute too much to the attack? Not necessarily. What about his contributions in terms of goals and assists? Non-existent. He is not the complete midfielder that we need him to be. Compare and contrast, and I always use the benchmark here of Paris Saint-Germain, because all three midfielders can rotate seamlessly in the centre of the park. He can't do it. He cannot do that. He's never had it, but now more than ever, it's incredibly evident. And that brings me on to the next player, which is Jude Bellingham. And this is a player who I feel has been let off, and in the most convenient way when it comes to the English media, because they think that the sun shines out of him. Every single time that you listen to a commentator on the big media stations like your TNT, when they're watching the Real Madrid games, they always point to Jude Bellingham as the second coming. And anyone who's watched Madrid over the last year will know that he has dipped so far. Towards the end of last season, his form was non-existent. Absolutely awful. And he just wasn't running. He wasn't putting a shift in. He wasn't doing enough. And he was a burden to the team. How can you have a midfielder there who does not get back and defend? He's not. Okay, fair enough, towards the start of this campaign, when he comes back, you might see the odd tackle here and there, but it's not enough. It's not enough to pick and choose, especially when Xabi Alonso realises that to make this team competitive, they have to all press as a unit, and he is the odd one out. Look at Rayo Vallecano, that game on the weekend. There's an incredible moment in the game where Rayo break, and you see Asensio running full tilt back towards his own goal to put in the sliding tackle to win the ball back for his team, and he goes past Bellingham. Bellingham just sauntering along, really casual, and Asensio sprinting past him. It's embarrassing to see. It really is. He's got a head start on him, and he's just jogging. There is no excuse for not doing the bare minimum. The stories coming out are saying even worse. They're saying, and this was always on the cards, they're saying that his dad is putting a lot of pressure on the directors upstairs. Why is my boy not playing here? Why is he in and out of the team? Why is he not being preferred to such and such a player? And I can believe it. I really can. Because I know what happened at Borussia Dortmund with his brother Job. That is just horrendous. I understand that you do have very complicated entourages when it comes to the modern game, but there's no excuse for that. That is a complete lack of professionalism. These players need to be in that team based on merit, and that is not what's happening. And you can see the evidence in games. You can see when Mbappe's having an off day, he's not being substituted by Xabi Alonso. Think about Endrick, think about Gonzalo Garcia, who've barely had a kick of the ball this season. And yet, who's the first person that he's going to? Rodrigo, who hasn't scored a goal since March. It's embarrassing. But decisions like that tell me one thing. It's that he's not in control. It's that he's answering to someone else. Because if he were to govern this team based on meritocracy, then Rodrigo will be nowhere near that side because he does not deserve to play. His performances do not justify a position in that team. They don't even justify a position on the bench. Whereas Endrick, Gonzalo, they're an unknown quantity. But at least Endrick scored a bunch of goals last season. He looked lively when he played, and his goal-to-minute ratio was incredible. Gonzalo, at the Club World Cup, he was Alonso's golden boy, until Mbappe returned, of course. But it does show that those two can contribute something to the team. So why aren't they getting those opportunities? Is it because Xabi Alonso doesn't like them? Or is it because he's being told to put other players in ahead of him? Other players that have to play, for example. If it's up to me, and you've heard me give this opinion in the past, I'm selling all of them. I want Vinicius out. I want Rodrigo out. Valverde, if we can convince someone from the Premier League to give us close to 100 million, I'm snapping the hand off because I want dogs in that team. I want players that work hard, that run, that outwork the opposition midfield. Are you telling me that you wouldn't swap Valverde for Caicedo, for example, from Chelsea? You'd take him in a heartbeat because he's 10 times the player that Valverde is. That's just my insight on a few of the stories that I've seen recently, and just my piece on how I see Real Madrid as they currently stand, because I'm not impressed, but I do have a great deal of sympathy for Xabi Alonso. And I really hope that others do start to look at this, because there's too many Madrid fans out there that still cling to the Vinicius is God's gift, Mbappe's the problem. Mbappe's an incredible footballer, but he needs that side built properly, and this attack plan is just non-existent. But I don't like crybabies, whingers in the team, the people who come out and give these backhanded, passive-aggressive comments to the media. I don't want them anywhere near my club. I want people that want to be there, who will die for that badge and for that manager. That's who I want in the team. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't, but regardless, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Take care.